Yes guys, back with another success story. Today we're going to talk about Jason and Mia, two of my success students that got their first 3 rent-to-rent deals just 6 months into our program. You can actually see their podcast episode on my YouTube channel, so I'll put that as the next video that you should watch. But yeah, these two started working with them at the start of the year. Interestingly enough, they had previously been on other property education programs, not for rent to rent, for deal sourcing. They had done okay, sourced a couple deals, but they decided it wasn't really what they wanted to do long term, as there was a lot of time and effort that had to go into finding those deals, and the nature of the income with deal sourcing is you do a lot of work up front and then you get paid a fee eventually once you've found an investor to buy the deal and negotiated the deal. You get a fee normally between 3 to 5k, but sometimes that can take months to get that sourcing fee, and then you still have to go back out and work again to try and find more deals and get more investors. So the nature of that income isn't recurring, which is what Jason and Mia wanted. They wanted a business that could give them recurring income, because it's that recurring income that will allow you to quit your 9 to 5 job, right? Because you're going to be getting paid every month, and that's what rent to rent can give you. It's a business that once you set it up and you rent the properties from landlords and then you find a tenant to pay you a premium, it's relatively passive after that, you know. Obviously things go wrong here and there, a bit of minor maintenance, and sometimes the changeover process in between tenancies. Initially there's a bit of work in terms of setting the properties up and furnishing them and marketing them, but once the tenants are in there and you're getting consistent bookings, or you've got consistent tenants renting the rooms, then it's relatively passive. It's almost as if you own the property, you know. So that's the type of business that Jason and Mia wanted. That's why they contacted me initially. That's why they joined the program. And once they joined the program, we got straight to work. In the beginning of the year, we identified an area. They chose Manchester to start, and they took in all the information from the program, and then they started implementing it within the first couple months. Jason has a history in sales, so he was on the front end, going on the viewings, doing the marketing, doing the negotiating with agents and landlords, and Mia was backing him up. They also have a small family, so Mia was at home with the family doing the operations, doing a lot of the admin, which is also a very necessary part of the rent-to-rent business, right? You need both. You need a good marketer, someone who's good at speaking to people and offering their services, and then you also need someone doing the operations. Anyway, a few months into the program, they started making their first couple offers. They got rejected a couple times, which is normal. There were a couple occasions where they couldn't make the numbers work. Landlord wanted too much rent, and I told them we can't go to that figure that they want, because that could leave you exposed. There's no margin for any error, and the landlord wanted too much rent basically. So a couple deals like that fell out of bed. We couldn't get them over the line, but that didn't stop them. They kept going, and a couple months later they got their first deal in Manchester, a rent-to-rent service accommodation unit, which they furnished really nicely and made it look like a hotel pretty much. And then they listed it on booking.com and Airbnb, and within the first couple of days they got a 20-night booking, which was great. And what they've been doing since then is the way they've been getting more bookings is when they get inquiries on those platforms, they take the information of the company inquiring and then they remarket to them, which I think is really clever. They try and get them to book directly with them so that they save that 15% commission that can eat into your profits that would otherwise go to the online travel agents, so Booker.com and Airbnb. So they save that 15% commission, make a bit more profit, and they can even give the companies or individual guests that are staying a little discount. So it's a win-win for everyone. Oftentimes you do a good job with one landlord, and if they have a portfolio of properties, then they want to give you their other properties to rent as well, because they're so happy with your service, right? So you should always try and over deliver with your landlords, especially with the first ones, because they're going to have other properties, or they may know other landlords that would benefit from your service. You could even set up some sort of referral kickback that you could give your clients, but most landlords will just do it because they understand the value in the service and they want to help either themselves rent another property or a friend, colleague to benefit from your service. So do a good job, over deliver, and more deals will come your way. But yeah, Jason and Mia, 6 months into our program, 3 rent-to-rent deals, currently looking for a 4th. They should be making around 2.5–3 grand from these properties, maybe more in the summer season, and a couple more, and they're gonna have replaced both of their incomes. They already own a couple properties themselves, so they understand what landlords want and need. I think that definitely helped when pitching to landlords, because you can come across like a peer, you can have a conversation on a level rather than seeming like you really need their property from them. You can position your service as something the landlord needs from you rather than you needing them. So you get to pitch a fair exchange of value. So that's how it worked for Jason and Mia. This is how it could work for you too. Jason and Mia are just normal people who realize that in order to have time freedom and location freedom, they have to build a business that allows them to work a couple hours a day and spend the rest of their time raising their young family and doing what matters to them most. So if you're similar to Jason and Mia and you want me to help you start or scale your rent-to-rent business, then I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link, book a call. On that call, we'll have a chat and see if we're a good fit to work together. If not, that's fine too. Keep watching the content, keep learning, and I'm sure you'll succeed. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.